Whew. Welcome to episode number 25. We are now rolling, ready to go. Apologies for the camera work, trying to get it all set up here. But welcome to episode number 25. We have so much to cover in this episode. But first, let me talk to you, Isaiah. How have you been doing, man? How's it been? I heard you had a little moment on the mound pitching. You want to tell the viewers what's going on there?
Life's been good, Miles. Been really busy with baseball, so that's why we haven't been able to record as much. Um, I over spring break, I went through a little flu stint, which included some vomiting on the mound. But I'm on the mend. We have a game today, but my elbow, I have to go do some extra PT work to fix my elbow so I can pitch this weekend. But life's good. Baseball is back, baby. Opening day was last week, so really excited.
That's right. And baseball is back, and there's something just nice about having it on, right? There's a feeling that just makes you feel good. You'll wake up, and every day, pretty much, your team is playing, and you got someone to look forward to in the evening or the afternoon. So it's very exciting. For me personally, it's been a very exciting few days as a Yankees fan. It's been a great start. They lost last night, which was their first bad loss of the year, but incredible opening weekend for them. And your Tigers got swept by the Dodgers, but again, the Dodgers are a very good team. But we're just talking generally here about what we noticed about this weekend, what we found, things that were going on, and boy oh boy, there was a lot. So let's get started with that. Isaiah, what team kind of stood out to you the most over this past weekend? And, you know, what can you expect from them? What's your kind of just general thoughts around that?
Um, I have a two-parter because I have a team and then I have a topic about a team. One team that really surprised me was the Yankees.
Mm,
I mean, they're down Garrett Cole. There's rumors Garrett Cole could be out for the year, could be like career ender, just rumors, but Cole's out for a while. They got Devin Williams, Cody Bellinger, Goldschmidt. They have a lot of young pieces moving around, but even like Jazz Chisholm. I wasn't a huge fan of Jazz Chisholm. Never thought he was like a sensational player, but come out of the year looking very good. A lot of home runs due to these torpedo bats. But I mean, the Yankees look really good. Devin Williams got his first save as a Yankee in their first game. They destroyed former Yankee Nestor Cortez in game two. They did lose last night to a hot D-backs team, but they're the Yankees are good. I mean, everyone knew the Yankees were going to be good, but the AL East is full of the Orioles and Red Sox, two very hot teams. So I was really excited to see the Yankees play. I mean, I hate the Yankees, but they're a fun team to watch.
yeah, absolutely. And I think the AL East has been a really intriguing start. I think the Yankees really exploded off the bat coming in and, made a really good first impression against a pretty decent Brewers team, all things considered. I mean, there were absolutely mistakes that the Yankees made. When they scored 20 something runs and 9 home runs in a game, which is just incredible, they still did allow 9 runs and 5 errors. So, you know, there were still things that the Yankees need to clean up in order to really, establish themselves as the main World Series contender, as opposed to the Dodgers, so to say. But I think the AL East has been a very intriguing start. Another team I want to talk about is the Red Sox, who have been on a god awful start. Rafael Devers, in particular, has had a really, really tough stretch to open the year. A Chris Davis like stretch to open the year, I want to say. Um, Ever since he moved to the DH position, which I did find this very interesting. A study showed that when designated hitters hit worse as opposed to when they're position players. So Jordan Alvarez in left field played better at the plate than he did playing
Hmm,
DH. So I think that's a very,
interesting.
and so did Stanton as well. Stanton was a better player on the field because he hit better when he also played on the field, which is not what
Interesting.
you think. But a lot of times when this is what I suspect this is, right? I suspect that this is because, you know, when you're purely a DH, you're a baseball guy, so you know more about this than I do probably. But you're purely a DH, you only focus on the hitting, and that stuff can get in your head really quickly, as it is with Devers most likely. But when you have that inning to go out in the field, play some defense, kind of clear your head a little bit and focus on something else, hitting becomes a little easier to kind of grasp. This is my
Mhm.
opinion, by the way.
Yeah, of
This is
course.
not
Yeah.
always true. I haven't played professional baseball, so what I'm saying is totally could be baloney, other than the stats that I brought up, which
Mhm.
are true. But
I mean, I feel like people are rushing to assumptions. I mean, what is he, 0 for 17 with 15 Ks? Like, he's off to a very, very, very bad start. But I don't think I think first pitch was 7 days ago. Like,
mhm.
it's the first week. Like, there's a lot of time left. The Red Sox do have a little pressure with, they did just bring Bregman in. They do have Marcelo Mayer, Roman Anthony Campbell. Like, they have like a solid team. Duran, like, they have a solid hitting team. They just got Crochet. Like, this team is good. So they really do need Devers to pick it up. But I'm not a fan of everyone just shitting on Devers off the bat. Like, he's a good hitter. He's shown to be a good hitter. Defensively, he's been a liability. I see what you're talking about, but defensively, he has not been a very good third baseman. So it made sense to put him at DH, but he really does have to step up if they're going to make a push. I want to talk real quick before we hop on anything else is how
Yeah.
bad the Braves are doing. The
Mm.
Braves are a somewhat healthy team who are hitting horribly. And a guy who was an all-star last year, who they just signed, is suspended for 80 games on PEDs. So, start off the year, the Braves are just in a rut. I
Yeah.
don't know how you can get out of that if you're the Braves. Like, that's like, I'm not saying they're never going to get out of it, but you're hitting bad, you're losing games, pitching still not fully there, and then the guy you just signed to a deal who was an all-star, who was your starting left fielder, is now out for 80 games due to suspension. The Braves are taking a beating in the first week.
Oh, absolutely. And looking at the games that they were playing, they scored 2 runs in 4 games, which isn't going to win you many games at all. And they're so built and reliant on their high offense. They lost a few pitching guys last year. Their pitching is good, but it's the hitting that just really sets them apart from other teams. So when that hitting is not clicking, I think that, you know, definitely flashes a few alarms. That being said, they're not going up against bad teams. They're not playing Pittsburgh, Miami. They're playing the Braves. Excuse me. The Braves are playing the Padres and the Dodgers, like two NL West like heavyweights, and on the road. So that's a tough way to open the year. And I think everyone expected more of them because you at least want to get a win out of that series. They play the Dodgers tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but they really need this win. They really need to get out of LA with the win here tonight to really just drive a little bit of momentum, because if you start the year 0-7, it's just not a great look. But yes, as you were saying, starting left fielder out for 80 games with the PAD suspension, not a great look either. And they've been struggling. But if you look at their next series, they're playing Marlins at home, and then they're playing Phillies at home. So there are better times on the horizon. The Marlins are not as strong of a team, and Phillies, they could make it more competitive, and they're home, so it's different going up against the defending world champions. The Padres, everyone forgets. I was kind of watching a documentary on the Padres last night. They were really close to beating the Dodgers in the NLDS last season, so they're right there too. They're a really good team, and not as good as they were last year, obviously, but they're still a very strong, powerful team in the National League. So I think people are definitely should be concerned about the Braves. There's no question, but to say that they're screwed, their season's over, it's not great. Not a great look. There's a lot of games to play. We have like 150 something games to play still. They're just getting started, but again, not great.
Mhm.
Not what
On
you
the note of the
expect.
Braves, well, on the note of the Braves, they're ordering their torpedo bats for this weekend. I wanted to hear your opinion on those bats.
Yeah, the torpedo bats have been kind of a very polarizing thing for a while. But what people don't realize is that the torpedo bats have been around for a long amount of time. Like, the torpedo bats have been around by many teams, Yankees included. Braves have used them, the Mets have used them, like the Guardians have used them. All these teams have used these torpedo bats. Maybe not to the same level as the Yankees were this weekend, but
Mhm.
what happened there, Isaiah?
Continue.
He said continue. Yeah, the torpedo bats have been very interesting. I think that, they're in the rule book. They're legal. There's nothing illegal about them. I think the only reason they're getting so much attention is because the Yankees had that crazy, you know, stretch over the weekends where,
They have the
they're
most home runs through 4 games.
exactly. They had most home runs in the first 4 games, so everyone just equated it to torpedo bats. But a lot of teams have torpedo bats, and maybe not utilize them as much for you know as the Yankees were, but other teams still have them. But I want to talk about one player in particular that makes the torpedo bats very interesting. And that's Anthony Volpe. So Volpe on a few of these pitches kind of missed the swing, kind of like he swung and had to kind of dig in. You're a baseball guy, you can probably explain this better than I can. But he got caught up, right? He got caught up. It was an inside pitch, and he still sent it to left field.
Jammed.
He got jammed on the pitch. Thank you for that. He got jammed on the pitch multiple times, but he still sent it into the left field seats. So it's really interesting how that can happen now. And like for a long time, pitchers have thrown inside because that's probably the hardest place for a pitcher, or excuse me, for a hitter to swing. But all Volpe has to do is just jam it with enough force, and especially in a home run friendly ballpark such as Yankee Stadium, that can do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a very good point. Volpe's a very good example. My personal opinion as a pitcher, as someone who's grown up playing baseball, I'm not a huge fan for the reason of baseball year after year is a hitter's sport. Like everyone, that's what the people want to see. Everyone wants to see home runs. No one wants to see strikeouts. What is it? 2019, there was the juice balls, and then what? 2022, they started like enforcing new laws about sticky stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
year after year, the MLB continues to benefit batters and not pitchers. Torpedo Pets, I'm not a Yankee fan. Um, I think they're fine because of the way of the science behind it. Like they are okay. But the MLB continues to benefit and help push up hitters versus pitching. Juice balls are a great example. Um, like I mean, that was the most home runs I think there ever was. And then with the Garrett Cole, remember Garrett Cole and Yu Darvish, especially after the sicky stuff ban started to get really enforced, you saw their stuff started to go down, more walks, more hits.
Yeah,
Like you could tell their stuff was off.
their spin rate decreased significantly,
Exactly.
and it
Exactly.
was
So
to
you
a
can see
point
there was a
where
visible difference between like pitchers using this stuff and then when they got penalized versus hitters doing this stuff when they got penalized. When the juice balls got taken away, there was still a bunch of home runs. Like we didn't lose out on a lot. We just lost out on home runs. But torpedo bats are going to be around the league the rest of our lives now. Like
yeah,
I think Padres are ordering them. I believe Braves ordered them. Like every team is going to have guys or a couple guys who are going to want like who prefer those bats. So it's
right.
going to be interesting to see how pitchers can adjust to this. Like Dustin May came back for the first time in 2 years last night. When the last time Dustin May pitched, the league looked a lot different.
Mhm.
So time will tell how pitchers can adjust to this.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so much that I want to get to about the game changing itself. I kind of want to. It's okay if I just go on a little segment here because there's so
Please,
much that I've been meaning to say on this podcast about this specific issue of the changing MLB game. So let's look at 2018, 2017. The game was so much different than it was today. Today, the games are a lot quicker because of the pitch clock. They're a lot less home runs and a lot less strikeouts, and that is good for baseball. Um, I mean, the games are just a blast. They've changed so much. A few years ago in 2017, 2018, the games were 3.5 hours long. I went to a AAA baseball game over last weekend, and the game came in around 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it was a 12-0 win for the home team. So that kind of tells you something. Like the game has gotten faster, the game has gotten quicker. There's been more changes going on to the league. There's runner on second starting in extra innings, which has been I think a really interesting you know way to frame the game. But the game has gotten faster. The game has gotten more hitter friendly. But the game has also gotten very anti pitcher in a way. Shutouts are becoming more and more rare, and there's been a lot less no hitters, a lot less perfect games. They still exist. I'm not saying they don't, but it's way harder to throw a perfect game now than it was even 5 years ago, just because of the way that this baseball game has been played in Major League Baseball.
I mean, I like that. I think too, like looking at players in 2018 to now, like in that time, what were we? We were going to high school in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
2019. Like
Correct.
in this last 6 years, like the genetic makeup of players has changed so much. Like looking at like the NBA, I think is a very good example. Like the way an NBA player looked in 2018, the average NBA player versus now is like the average player now is way more muscular, way more in the gym. Like this stuff was around back then, but it's way more prominent now. I think you bring up a really good point. Like with extra, I didn't think about the extra runner rule. Like baseball, especially over COVID, baseball changed so much that like it's every like the home run derby is different. The All-Star game is different. I mean, like look at Paul Skeens. Like pitching is like players are built different. Like what we're seeing
Yeah.
now is way different than what we've seen before. And as a baseball fan, I love the pitch clock. I got called for a pitch clock violation actually on Sunday, but as a baseball fan going to games, it's very like I can get to Yankee Stadium by 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game and know I'll be home by 10. Like that's very like cut and dry. Like I'm a very big fan of that.
Right. And I also want to add to that point of the games speeding up. Like, I remember, I don't know who it was, but I went to a game. The Yankees were playing the Texas Rangers, and this pitcher for the Rangers, I'm going to blank on his name because it was not really anyone like major. It wasn't like Max Scherzer or anything. It was, anyway. But he took almost a minute and a half between every pitch. A minute and a half between every pitch. And the game started at 7 and didn't get out till maybe midnight. It was a 5 hour game, and it was a 2-1 loss by the Yankees. So, like, that stuff exists. Like like we can't do that anymore. That doesn't happen. Also, with the kind of talking more about pitchers in general too, like pitchers are throwing a lot harder than they ever have before. Pitchers are training to throw a lot harder than they ever have before. Pitchers now are regularly throwing 100 miles an hour all the time. That wasn't so common even just a few years ago, where most pitchers are tapping out at 95, 96. Now you got Paul Skeens, Mason Miller throwing 103, 104, even 105 in some instances, just casually throwing them. And the amount of casual 100-mile-an-hour fastballs that are coming down home plate have skyrocketed to a point where even I'm noticing of like, whoa, like 3 pitches in a row, 100 miles an hour, like it's nothing. And then they pitch another 10, like, not 10 innings, but they pitch
yeah,
another 10, 15 pitches, like it's nothing. That
yeah.
has been a really interesting aspect of the game.
One thing that I've noticed too is talked a lot about last year actually. Is pitcher injuries going up. A lot more guys getting Tommy John. Injuries are a lot more common, and like as like I've coached youth baseball, like I've been around like kids, like I played baseball like since I was little. Like the way like baseball is being treated now is way different than it was. Um, and like looking at like the season right now, like talking about the torpedo bats again, like torpedo bats are going to impact every level of the game because if you see your favorite player using them, you're going to want to use it too. So like stuff like that, like really like goes down the funnel of like what are people doing to prepare? Like college baseball is completely different than it was 5 years ago. Rosters are less, transfer portals big. Like the baseball world is changing, and I mean like let's see, like Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani was a huge. What was he drafted 2018? Huge impact in changing the way baseball is played.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the best two-way player to ever play besides Babe Ruth. And the way he's done it, like what is he at? 50-50 year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 MVPs? Like no one's been at that level ever. And we may never see that again. Like these are stuff that's happening now. That's gonna forever change the way baseball is played in terms of like more college guys are two-way players now. More MLB guys are two-way players. Now when kids are growing up, they don't want to just pitch, they want to hit too. Like it goes down the funnel of like what's happening in MLB is impacting every level of baseball for the next couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. And the game has changed. People will adjust, and then it'll change again. Then something else will change.
Hmm.
Now even with like the ABS software that they've introduced in the minor league games, like pitchers and you know catchers can now challenge ball and strike calls as much as they please. Like, to me personally, I don't agree with that because I think that you know adding a robot ump and that stuff like isn't the best idea. But it's going to change the game, right? Where in a big moment, you know, down 1 run with bases loaded, bottom of the ninth kind of situation, and there's a questionable call, and the batter taps his head, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see how that is going to impact the game, how it's going to change how pitchers throw. Are pitchers less likely to throw more, inside or on the corners because of that? Because if they miss, they're going to, they miss. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and it's funny because they're actually introducing this in AAA, single A, whatever. Like they're just doing it in the minor leagues at this point as kind of just an experiment for what's going on. And what I noticed is there was a few pitches that the batter challenged, and it wasn't even close. It was like very obviously a strike or very obviously a ball. So, is that going to you know
Yeah.
slow down the game more? Is it going to be used all the time, or is it going to be used only once, twice in a game? So it's
Yeah.
very interesting. But I want to kind of
And
move on to a few other things. The Rays have been killing, which has been kind of surprising. They're playing at the Rays games have been really interesting. Okay, I kind of want to bring this up because they've been playing outside of the George Steinbrenner Fields, but there's a lot less seats in there, so they're pretty much selling out every night, which is really cool to see. You know, the Rays who normally have like no fans, Tropicana Field is
mm,
empty. It's kind of fun watching them in a smaller ballpark with a ton of fans.
yeah, I got the luxury of playing at that field actually last week.
Mm,
Um, and I played there on a Monday with the Rays coming in Wednesday, and the field was already decked down in Rays gear. The field is beautiful. Like it's going to be great. It's downtown Tampa, so fans are still going to be at every single game, and it's definitely a really big difference from what I'm used to seeing. The Rays like actually got a good free agent signing last year, like in the offseason. So the Rays
right.
are definitely making a change in terms of how they want their franchise to go. Still have Yandy Diaz, still have Shane McClanahan coming back. Like this is still a good team, and having this environment. What is it? Two teams now, the A's and the Rays are playing in minor league stadiums, and the A's are selling out a minor league stadium. Like,
Right.
also, it's very cool, and they're decking out these stadiums, like upgrading all these facilities. It's a really cool thing to see.
Hmm. Yeah, and, there's good and there's bad to both of that, right? I think the good is, a lot of these smaller cities can have a Major League Baseball, but like it's just so funny. Like right now, like the Rays are not like the most star talented team, and they're playing the Rockies and the Pirates, which are like good teams. But like I'm excited to see when like a bigger team comes in, like a Yankees team, and you have Aaron Judge and all these great players coming in, and or the Phillies too, Bryce Harper coming in like and playing in these minor league ballparks. It's going to be kind of funny to watch. This is like in like pivotal games, and like there's just like 1,000 people in the stands, or something crazy. And it's also interesting too because the ticket prices are actually super high to like these games. The Sacramento A's, I'm going to call them Sacramento A's because that's what they are right now, and the Tampa Bay Rays, they play in so many less seats. Where Tropicana Field there was 40 50,000 seats in a stadium, so they can sell 5,000 and like it would be really cheap. But now playing at George Steinbrenner Field with less than 10,000 seats, for example, like there's a lot of ticket demand, and so they're actually like almost $80 a ticket for
Mm,
like a Rays game, which is really interesting to see how that just kind of shifts and changes. And when the big teams come in, like I'm sure it's going to be more expensive because you get to watch a Major League Baseball game in like a really small kind of environment, you know.
interesting, yeah.
I think let's see, there's a lot of teams I want to talk about here. I think the White Sox have been an interesting start. They won their opening day in the first time in a while, so they were above 500 for the first time in almost 2 years, and
Wow.
they were, which is like kind of a crazy thing. Uh, they were 1-0 to open the year. Now they're 2-3, but really funny to see like all those guys celebrating. And they won one game, and literally like the whole entire clubhouse is erupting because they literally won a game, which tells you the state of different franchises. But I've also been interested to see. the Tigers had a tough start with the Dodgers. That was a really tough series um, to watch. I really kind of wish the Tigers won at least a few of those games, but they did not. Um, Dodgers are still as good as ever. But talk about the Mets. The Mets, kind of a slower start, and Juan Soto struck out in a big moment on opening day against the Houston Astros, which I thought was pretty funny as a Yankees fan. But the Mets haven't been looking as dominant as they should be, right? They signed Juan Soto to an $865 million mega deal, and they're barely getting by against the Marlins. And they actually lost to the Marlins last night, and they lose to the Astros in the series. So, kind of, what are your thoughts around that? What are your ideas, opinions
I
regarding
mean, I
the
don't
Mets start?
I don't like talking about teams start because like last year I talked a lot of shit. Like Mets were like 0-6. Like the Tigers swept them and they made the playoffs and they went pretty far. So
Mm.
I'm not a big fan of like opening week predictions and stuff like the way too early, but the Mets are not starting the year off great. They're already down a lot of players. I think that Alvarez is out for a while. Manai is out for a little bit. Like they're starting the year off a little hurt and a little banged up. So they really need guys like Vientos, Lindor, Soto to pick up the slack of the guys they're missing, and it hasn't happened through the first week. There's a lot of year left. The Mets are definitely buying at the deadline,
Oh
so
yeah, no question. But it's
there's a
also
lot of
interesting.
time left. Yeah.
Like I think I'm not trying to like shit on the Mets like, as much as I would like to, but their pitching is not good. Like I'm just
Mhm.
gonna say it. Like their pitching compared to most teams are not good. When you have Clay Holmes
How
as
did
your
Clay
opening
Holmes
day
do opening
starter,
day? How did he do opening day?
not good. I mean, he didn't do bad. He didn't allow like 10 runs in one inning, or he didn't pull a Nestor Cortez. But like, if you're relying on like a failed closer and with the Yankees to be your opening day starter for a championship winning team, you know, that's not
But again, like his first stuff gets weird because he had a very, very good spring training. He was one of the best pitchers in spring training going into the
right.
year. So it's very like start of the year is a very controversial time because everyone has a lot of takes like about Devers and stuff. So it's very people are very negative or very positive to start off the year, more negative than positive, I would say. But what is it? 150 games, 50 something games left in the year. A lot of time left. I feel like until maybe June, until we have to give teams time to warm up until June. Like we saw last year, Garrett Crochet from what was it, April to June or April to July even was not the same Garrett Crochet from August to September. Like the first and second half of the year are very pivotal. You want to be a second half player. You want to be a second half team. The Tigers were a second half team last year
Right.
and they won a playoff series. A first half team can mean nothing. You can
Yeah.
win every single game in the first half and lose in the second half, and you'll make the playoffs. It all matters how you finish versus how you start. I think the Mets are proving that right now. I think the Mets are competing for a playoff spot still. Nothing's changed. Slow start. Who cares? Um, they have games, I believe, tonight or tomorrow. They're going to compete every single game. We're going to see hopefully a change in some leadership from Lindor and Soto. They're better players, Alonso. So once that happens, we'll start seeing a change in direction for the team. Team like the White Sox, I don't think we're going to see that. The White Sox are going to remain bad until there is a player who's worth commanding respect. I don't think Luis Roberts will end the year as a White Sox. So
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
really, you can tell in teams like the Tigers, I think, are a very good example of they've built that team from the ground up there. Gleyber Torres has won a world, or he has won a World Series, but been around the
He's
playoffs.
had
Like he knows what
experience,
he's doing.
correct? Yeah.
Exactly, had experience, and that matters in a team like the Tigers, where now looking at the playoffs, if you want to make a playoff push, you have guys who know how to do that and know how to rally a team. So, like certain players on certain teams are going to make a very big difference. The Blue Jays got a lot of experience in Max Scherzer. Not a great team. I don't know how it's going to work, but you can see like these the start of the year everyone's going to be someone's going to be hot, someone's going to be cold. The guy for the Suarez for the D-backs has 5 hits and they're all home runs. You think he's going to keep it up the entire year? No one does. But player of the week, like that matters. Like Judge, Judge would be right now my way too early MVP pick for the AL. He's been amazing so far, but it's way too early for a reason. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
1 weekend, a lot of time left.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of want to talk now. We got a little bit of time crunch here, so I kind of want to move to the awards. Let's talk about MVP voting. and MVP winners. Let's talk American League first. I'm a little biased, but I think Aaron Judge is going to win the American League MVP this year. He's already had that phenomenal start, and I think that momentum is just going to continue and it's just going to grow. And he's putting up video game numbers. You know, it's truly remarkable what he's doing in the regular season. At least last year, he had a tough postseason, but you know, he's going to be good, and he's expected to be the best player on the team. He's the best player in the league, in my opinion, by far. The American League at least.
Yeah.
Um, so I think he's no doubt American League MVP for me.
Again, we're 1 week into the year, guys. This is a way, way, way too early MVP prediction. We're just saying our opinions after 1 week. I think it is going to be Aaron Judge. There's a lot of Bobby Witt talk, Jose Ramirez talk, Gunnar Henderson talk, but the way Judge started off the year, I think he's in position to have another amazing year. Could be another historic year for what his third MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the way the Yankees started off the year, he's on a very good track. I believe he's still starting in right field. I believe Dominguez is up now, moving around. So they have Judge is going to be playing a lot. He's going to get a lot of ABs. He's already shelling off like pitchers in the first week. So I'm very confident in Aaron Judge being the MVP. Again, way too early. Moving to AL Cy Young, keeping it there. My AL Cy Young is someone from the AL Central. It's not Tarek Skubal. I think it's going to be Cole Reagans from
Mm,
Kansas City.
yeah.
I think he's improved so much every year. He reminds me of Skubal did last year when I predicted Skubal to do very good. Um, I think he's going to make a jump this year. He's the ace, I believe, right now. I think he's the opening day starter for
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City. A lot of opportunities. Was a fringe Cy Young candidate last year. They had Seth Lugo, who was a Cy Young candidate, but I think Cole Reagans will end up winning the MVP, Cy Young. I think he's going to blow up this year. I'm going to say he's going to lead in Ks and innings pitched, but I think he's going to have a very good year.
Yeah. So you said not Tariq Skubal for you. I'm going to say he's going to win the American League Cy Young. He's had an incredible season last year, especially in the back half of the year. And I think he's going to deal. I think he has even have a chance to win the American League MVP if he keeps pitching as well as he does. And some hitters don't hit as well. So I think he's just going to be as dominant as ever. And then to the National League, I'm kind of having like these played safe uh, picks here, but think Paul Skeens is going to win the National League Cy Young. I'm a huge Paul Skeens guy. I think he's going to just keep doing what he's doing. I mean, the back half of last season was incredible. He almost won the Cy Young last year, only pitching pretty much half the season. So now the first full season is Paul Skeens. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think it's going to be Paul Skeens. Someone who I think could be a dark horse would be Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns put him to a new team in the NL with the D-backs, a place where he's there for a couple of years. He's with Zach Allen. He's really going to have a chance to succeed and be himself and be who he wants to be. He had that option on the Orioles, but the Orioles don't have a lot of pitching behind him. The D-backs do. Um, I'm going to say it's going to be Paul Skeens. He's the most dominant pitcher in baseball that I've seen besides Skubal, but would not be surprised if we see a second or third or even a Cy Young win out of Corbin Burns. Before we do NL MVP, I want to talk quickly about the Rookie of the Years.
Yeah.
Um, I really like Houston. Houston picked up Cam Smith from Chicago for Kyle Tucker. He's making his debut He made his debut last week. I'm a big Cam Smith fan. I think he will fill Bregman's shoes great. I think he's going to have a great year. The AL West has a lot of rookies. I think Cam Smith is going to blow up. He was the number one prospect. He rose a lot after that trade. So very excited to see him play. I have him as my AL Rookie of the Year. NL Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go Roki Sasaki. It's a little bit chalk, but I think when you're the best player in Japan, it's going to translate over to being one of the better pitchers in America. I know he struggled a little in the first week, but I have confidence Roki Sasaki is going to turn it around, and he'll be the NL MVP or
I'm also going to go,
NL Rookie of the Year.
yeah, I'm going to go Sasaki as well from the National League. I think what you said, the playing in Japan, he's probably going to play pretty well. I mean, look at the other guys, especially on that loaded roster with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He just has to get a few good quality starts in and just get started. But the American League Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go a little bit of a dark horse, so to say. Maybe not. Let's go Marcelo Meyer for the Red Sox. I think he's going to come up and he's going to have a pretty good season. You know, I actually met Marcelo a few days ago, and he was very excited. He's very locked in, and motivated for the season. Not that that has anything to do with it, but I think with Devers kind of struggling the way he is, and the need for a better fielder along with Bregman and like a pretty solid bat, I think don't be shocked if you see Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer coming up pretty quickly in that Red Sox organization. But I think ultimately Marcelo is going to win it out. I think it's going to be close, battle between the two of them though.
And to close it out, who's your NL MVP?
National League MVP. Mm, I'm
That's
a
a
little
hard one.
dark. I think I'm going to go Ronald Acuna Jr. I think he's going to be.
He's not back until May.
Yeah, I know, but he's going to come back and he's going to be good. I'm telling you.
Interesting. Interesting.
I think
Why do you say
he.
that?
I mean, look at him. I mean, every year that excuse me, every year that Acuna's come in and he hasn't got hurt, he's been top three MVP finisher. He's been an elite defender. He's been an incredible hitter. He carries teams. He pretty much won them the World Series in 2021. So, when he's back and healthy and he's capable of playing on the field, he's going to be the best player, not only on that team, but the entire National League.
Wow. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna use another guy who's not really a top candidate, but I think Bryce Harper's gonna have a very, very good year.
Mm.
I know he's transitioning back to outfield for the Phillies, but big Bryce Harper guy. I believe he won it 2 years ago. I think he's gonna have a great year. I mean, the NL is very wide open for MVP. There's Shohei, Freddie Freeman, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. Like the NL MVP is very, very wide open right now.
Juan
This is why it's
Soto.
way too early. Juan Soto, very wide open. I'm going to say just Harper. I have a feeling. I think he's going to blow up this year. I think he's going to have a very, very hot second half of the year, which is going to take him over the hump. But way too early predictions for a reason.
Absolutely. Let's see. Is there any more? We got to get going. I mean, wow, we ended that perfectly. But that is episode number 25 of 718 Sports. Wow, the clock really ticked down. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Go watch some baseball. Go let us know what we think. We have a lot of momentum right now. Let's keep hammering it down. And until next time.